Chamgei mising chitab Kalenjin amangu ole chamegei eng olda tugul ole tesetai nyorune tugetab Kass TV eng betut nebo kwangwan kasit tarik 22 arawetab 8 eng kenyitab 2024. Kakoit kasarta nebo tetutiet nechome mising noto nebo Kass Mashinani ole kiitini komonutiet neo logoiwek cheng'etitokwek cheterter chebo emetab Kenya nesomanwo kekwane Bernard Koech. Kitaune taunetab Nairobi ole tesetai ng'ololjin sirikab logoiwek eng nguni ng'ololindetab serikali Dr. Isaac Mwaura ole konu ng'alalenyin nebo wikit age tugul kotinygei ak boisionik cheterter cheisuldae serikalitab Kenya Kwanza neindochin President William Ruto. Amache kebe nguni agenge agoi komasta nebo KICC asikepchin ng'alaletab Dr. Isaac Mwaura.
Hao walimu wetu na walimu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, ile kipindi tulikuwa na pressure kubwa sana kwa sababu mawaziri hawangesikiliza watu. Nataka kusema kwamba hiyo pesa ambayo ni 18.3 billion
also created 2,000 digital jobs, reducing the level of unemployment in the country. Further, the government has established 1,360 Wi-Fi hotspots across the 47 counties, enabling free access of internet for online transactions. In addition, we've also activated local assembly of 1.5 million affordable smart-enabled phones. The phones retail from Kenya shillings 7,500 per unit and are available at Safaricom and Jamii Telcom outlets with 579,000 units already sold. This is a great milestone that we are already manufacturing our own phones. This has greatly helped to bridge the digital divide, especially in the rural areas, because it's quite affordable. The government has also established the Open University of Kenya in October 2023 to facilitate virtual learning and universal access to education, with currently 3,289 students being admitted to the Open University at Konza Technopolis. The university has created jobs and occasioned heightened knowledge and technology transfer. Further, there has been a rollout of 10,219 kilometers of fiber optic cables and re-engineering of the model to utilize the KPLC electricity transmission lines to roll out the fiber as opposed to digging underground trenches. These should enable us to terminate fiber at each of the 74,000 KPLC transformers and eventually at each and every meter in the long run to make free and reliable Wi-Fi available in all corners of the country. As you may recall, within our manifesto, the Better Plan, which is now being implemented by the broad-based government, we promised to do 100,000 kilometers. And already we've done 10,000 so far. So we are making very good progress. And if we leverage on the 74,000 transformers, you can see already we'll have covered a lot because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. The government commenced re-engineering of Postal Corporation of Kenya into an e-commerce and logistic hub with the aim of enabling the young entrepreneurs to engage in trading online. This is very, very important because, we are using the Postal Corporation of Kenya network, which is across the country. Every place you go around the world, around Kenya, you'll find a Postal Corporation of Kenya, but they have been moribund and underutilized. And then e-commerce then becomes very critical, when you leverage again on the internet. We've also, as a government, facilitated the development of 1,018 audiovisual productions under the KBC Studio Mashinani program, putting money into the pockets of the young artists. More than 94 ICT solutions and providers. More than 94 ICT solution providers and innovators, private partners are already on board to create innovation solutions for the Kwanza and in the future. This is very important because we are communication platforms within government, going forward. And maybe you may not even know there are some solutions that, for example, that are being implemented by corporates like Microsoft that have been developed here in Kenya, and they are raking in a lot of revenue in billions. For those corporations and the Kenyans here, if you go to the Microsoft hub in Westlands, you really learn that we have great talent here. The government is committed to ensuring existence of a level playing ground for empowerment of the young people, in the understanding that the youth are the architects of the future, and the digital pathway they create today will shape the world for generations to come. So that is a digital platform. Let me turn now to livestock production. This is our other topic for today. An agricultural phenomenon is that you will be able to fight poverty if you have kind of an agrarian revolution. We still have
Notajitab Kolenjin ko ngalale nebo agenge kongete kotab tuyoshek nebo KICC eng taonitab Nairobi ole tesetai ngololindetab serikali Dr. Isaac Mwaura kokonu ngalalenyi nebo wikit age tugul kotinygei ak tesetab tai nebo boisionik cheterter choto chesuldae serikali nebo emetab Kenya ole agoi nguni kokakomuch kongalale tetutik cheterter choto che kamwa kole wendi kosuldae serikali eng tokyinetab koker kole kabit walet ak bandab tai eng emetab Kenya go kitesetai kisubi kotinygei ak ngalalet noto bo Dr. Isaac Mwaura sikobit keibun eng logoiwekab emet chemitei tai. Eng logoiwek alak chekisubi kora eng newsroom nebo Kass TV eng betutab rani ko tuyet nebo Pan Africa Green Climate Financing Conference ne tesetai eng taonitab Nairobi ole alak eng kandoik chemitei tuyonoto ko neki Prime Minister Raila Odinga ne inendet ko kandoindet nebo chamaitab ODM ako barchinigei kora kelewen koek nebo ngecheret eng kibagengeitab African Union Commission. Mitei kora tuyonoto minister nenamu legutab emet anan treasury noto ko John Mbadi eng kwenutab kandoik alak. Ngololi Raila Odinga eng tuyonoto betut agenge kityo kongete komwa kole chobot kwo kobarchigei boroinoto bo nebo ngecheret eng AU Commission ole koibarasta kole wendi anan makotinyegei mising ak polatet nebo emetab Kenya asikonyor boroindo noto nebo kobeljigei akwai campaign noto nebo kelewen koek nebo ngecheret eng kibagengeitab AU Commission. Tetat kondochi President William Ruto lumdaetab campaigns chebo Raila Odinga eng tarik 27 nebo arawani ole komwa eng betutab amut kandoikab serikali chekoindochin Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi ne inendet kora ko minister nebo tilanditab emotinwekab sang kole boroinoto bo nebo ngecheret eng AU Commission kobo komonut mising eng emetab Kenya ole komwa kole noto ko maboroindo nebo neki Prime Minister Raila Odinga inegei kobate wendi koibu keljino mising ak borotet eng emetab Kenya. Ko amache kebe agenge agoi tuyonoto bo Pan African Green Climate Financing Conference ne tesetai eng taonitab Nairobi asikobit keepchi ngalalet noto nebo inendet Raila Odinga ko komwa technician nenyo kole tomo kochobok tuyet noto nebo Raila Odinga eng tuyonoto bo Pan Africa Green Climate Financing Conference. Ko yakitestai ak logoiwekab emet ketokchinigei county nebo Narok ole kakecher meng'ik eng county nebo Narok koboisie biogas eng korikwai koret agenge nebo kerib itondab emet ak keistoegei asenet neibu itondab emet newaloksei noto ko climate change. Kong'ololjini keteshoni agenge eng meng'otenyi nemitei Kutete eng sub county nebo Narok West komwa Bernard Manuele kole kikonyorune ine keljin nebo biogas nekitech eng koinyi ole kacher meng'ik alak chebo county nebo Narok kotoi koboisie biogas asikomuch korib itondab emet ako toret icheget konyor keljin noto nebo konyor gasit neboisie eng chobetab amitwogik eng korikwai. Kinyoru Nicholas Rono ak ripoti noto eng koindo.
Kakecher meng'ik en county nebo Narok koboisien biogas en korikwak oret agenge nebo kerib itondab emet ak keistoegei asenet neibu itondab emet newolowoloksei. Kong'ololchin ketesioni agenge en meng'otenyin nemiten en Kuteten sub-county nebo Narok West, komwa Bernard Manywele kole kikonyorunen kelchin biogas nekitech en konyin en boisionik chebo chiket koboto stimet en kwenutab boisionik chebo mbar kou kolsetab minutik chebo arowek chenwoken kou skuma, cabbage akot indisinik en kole boisien mbolea chemong'unen biogas botoldolen minutik.
Amune sikeng'alalen ng'alekab biogas anan amune sikikoiten biogas ko biogas kotinye benefit chechang in our environment, in our farmers ak in our farms. Once ko kararan en chito netinye tuga. Kit agenge netoretin en chito netinye tuga kotoretin inam waste chebo tuga asiende digestate ak kokonin gasit nekararan neyekwong'en en ko ak kobosun expenses chechang. Expenses cheu chebo ikwen kwenik, ial kwenik, ial makaa, ibu gasit kobosun tuguchoto tugul. Biogas kora kotinye silares, tinye waste chechiket, ko waste chebo biogas ko fertilizers chekororon en ng'alekab mbar. Toretin imi marurek ak irongyi marurek ko they are evergreens. Moingen kemeut amaingen betut neroboni.
Kosibgei ak Manywele neboisie en kampunit nebo Systema Bios ko kikomuch kotekyi biik en kokwenyin biogas plant chesire 50 ole mwoe ine kole boisiet neyoe biogas ko konopto baetab tuga en kwenutab kiagik alak. Ole komonutiet age kokochin biik boisionik cheyoe cheboto mung'aret. Ikimiti Manywele kole ko oret nebo keistoegei tiletab ketik ak ng'emetab kondametusiekab beek ko keboisien biogas en korikwak en kole toreti noton kitonon yautik chebo ng'emetab itondab emet.
Kineya soiti nekikoimech en koroni ko ng'alekab kwenik, momi ketik. O nguni kemoche kerib environment kiborchinigei kemin ketik. Ko ngamun keborchinigei kemin ketik kemoche sikerib ketichoto, sikoribok ketichoto ko keboisien biogas sikokonech gasit nemoketile kwenik. Kit age ko ng'atatiana nebo teta ko ng'atatiat neya kora, tinye gasit neya kabisa netam koweche environment. Ko sikomatakot kowech ng'atatek chombo tuga environment konyokerongyin biogas ng'atatiatab teta ak kinem gasit noton non kotoweche environment ak keboisien kekwang'en.
En logoiwek chebo Kass TV kong'eten Kuteten county nebo Narok, kainenyun ko Nicholas Rono.
Kongoi mising Nicholas Rono kong'etia komasta nebo Narok West en county nebo Narok. Yekitestai chitab Kolenjin ko kakochobok tugetab neki Prime Minister Raila Odinga neng'ololi eng tuyet nebo Pan Africa Green Climate Financing Conference netesetai eng taonitab Nairobi ak ketokyinigei komasata eng oret nebo agenge asikeipchi ng'alaletab neki Prime Minister nebo emetab Kenya.
Building climate resilience of the urban poor. This will have great potential for both the rural and urban communities. Currently, cities account for about 75% of the world's energy consumption and are responsible for over 70% of the global greenhouse emissions. The way cities are planned, built, and managed is key to reducing carbon emissions and keeping global warming within the limits of 1.5 degrees Celsius as set by the Paris Agreement of 2015 on climate change. Efforts of city authorities must translate into better and sustainable urban environments that result in improved air quality, sustainable use of ecosystems, cleaner energy, reduction of overall energy consumption and greenhouse gas emission, and improved waste management. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, to address the devastating impacts of climate change, we can't continue with the business as usual approach. It is important that we change the game. I strongly believe that AFDAN is the game changer. AFDAN therefore has a critical role in supporting the African Union Commission in its commitment to climate action. AFDAN is expected to be fully committed to enhancing mobilization of climate finance and enhance its access to all the 55 African countries. This will help Africa to deal with this issue seriously, because this is an issue that Africa must confront head-on if Africa hopes to develop. Africa is the richest continent on the planet Earth in as far as raw materials are concerned. Yet it's a paradox that the richest is also the poorest in as far as the living conditions of these people are concerned. This is a paradox that we can actually reverse as a people. Yes, we can, the historical reasons to justify what is there today. But we cannot live in history forever. Other countries were also colonized, for example. But they have marched on. So it's time that Africa took its destiny in its own hands and worked as one unit. If we are going to negotiate for compensation, which is our right, because Africa, for example, has got also one of the biggest carbon sinks in the world, the second largest after the Amazon, the Congo forest. So Africa needs to be compensated. But if we go as Kenya, we go as DRC, Nigeria, Guinea, Senegal, Egypt, Algeria, South Africa, then we're not listening to you. They keep on taking you round and round and round. I've told you because I've told you I've been to these international conferences, these COP conferences. The resolutions are being passed. You can talk until your voice is hoarse. But after that, people pack up and go. Heads of state jump or come in on jets, land and quick there to go and make speeches. Making speeches back on the jet and go back. They wait for the next other conference next year. So the people who are just doing those conferences, they move from one conference to another conference. Each year they take 2 months or 3 months camping in those conferences. But nothing concrete comes out of them. You must make sure that something concrete comes out of those conferences. The African Union can be the champion of this. African Union should be able to speak more effectively on behalf of the interests of Africa if the African government give it the power and the mandate to do so. And that's the reason why I've offered myself to run for the position of African Union chairmanship. I hope that I will be able to use that position effectively to represent Africa, to make sure that Africa claims this century. I finished by telling you the story I would tell of an African lion. African lion, there are several African lions. In the soccer, those of you who know soccer, the Cameroonians are called the indomitable lions. The ones of Senegal are called the lions of Teranga. The ones of Morocco are called the Atlas lions. So lion is a very important animal in Africa. See, the king of the jungle. Now the African lion is challenging the Asian tiger. Tell the Asian tiger that you, Asian tiger, you've danced on the world stage alone now for too many decades. The European bear retreated to the poles, North Pole, long time ago. The American panda is also on the retreat. You have been there alone all this time. I myself have been here asleep in the Congo, the jungles of the Congo. But now I'm awake. I have the giant Congo forest, the mighty river Congo, the mighty Nile, the Niger, the Zambezi, the Limpopo, surrounded by peaks, the Kilimanjaro and Kenya to the east, the Atlas Mountains to the west. And here I'm sitting on African gold, African diamonds, African bauxite, African iron ore. And I'm going to turn all this, and African oil, I'm going to turn all this wealth, these raw materials into wealth, and claim the 20th century as truly an African century. End of the message of African land. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Deputy President,
thank you very much for that captivating speech.
Angot kosip kenai kong'ololine eng igorta nebo konoretab kony agenge nekoibe sobenyi eng county nebo Kajiado kosubkei ak miondo nebo cervical cancer.
The other thing I would like to urge us today is that we make sure that we go for testing, because cervical cancer has killed very many women, and cervical cancer is treatable if it is discovered early. And I think Bishop Parit, we ought to have, in her memory, we have a medical camp here in Kajiado, where we can be able to screen for cervical cancer. So we'll be doing that. I think in next month we can do one in Rongai, and then we come this way and we do those cervical cancer screening. Because I believe a mother need not, please, you can sit down. A mother doesn't need to die this young, because we don't know, perhaps if it had been diagnosed early, she would still have had time that she would have been able to serve the country, she would have served her children and seen her children's children.
Yakitestai ak logoiwekab emet chitab Kalenjin ketokyinigei City of Champions eng county nebo Uasin Gishu asikenyoru sirindenyo nebo logoiwek notok ko Timothy Kiplimo nemitei kosubi kotinygei ak tuiyetab kenyini nebo kotab ka chapter notok neindochini Robani Chepkwony eng kwenutab ofsaek alak ko kibendi agenge agoi Eldoret City asikenyoru sirindenyo nebo logoiwek Timothy Kiplimo asikwarorwet kotinygei ak tuiyonotok bo kotab ka netesetai agoi betutab Jumamos eng weekend ni. Timothy Kiplimo nengung soet.
Kongoi missing Ben Koech en ketesiet nebo Kass TV nemiten kanaset neo nebo Nairobi. Ko yekemwa ko en inguni amiten kiwanjet nebo Central Primary ko nito ko kebeberta netetat keboishe en igorta nebo kotab ka Agri Business Show. Ibwat kole en betutab amut ko kakimita kebeberta asikeker kotinygei ak chabutik chebo taunitab kei nebo kotab ka Agri Business Show ko en betutab rani ko en kiwanjani ko kakotoi koitita exhibitors cheterter asi kobor anan komarta tuguk chetinye ichek ako boisionik cheterter che isuldoi ichek kole ng'oliot neo netonondochin agri business nebo kotab ka nebo kenyini ko boisiet nebo musoknotetab kasari anan kakimitet nebo boisiet nebo musoknotet nebo kasari asikenyor kelchin. Ibwat kole bororiet nebo Kalenjin ko bororiet ne tetutik chebo kabatisiet, tetutik chebo ripsetab kiagik ko kit nekikonde tai biik chebo bororiet nebo Kalenjin, ako noto amune asikomi kotab ka asi koker kole kakisuldae igorta nebo kotab ka Agri Business Show. Kobate ibwat kole nito ko kotab ka ko kikilumda en kenyit nebo 2017 ko nito ko Agri Business nebo mut ngap kelumda ikorita ko en inguni ko mamache keam chemutungen komi changatiben ole amita ak Robani Chepkwony amache kityo konai sewech kotinygei ak igorta nebo kotab ka Agri Business. Akoi ngemwa kole kotab ka Agri Business ko tos mine ko ibaka ako tos ne nemi orit amache kunaisewech kole tos mine ko ibaka ako kamanutiet nebo agribusiness nebo kotab kaa kone rubani chepkwonyit agaten kimite live en Kass TV. Kass TV mowech kityo kotinygei ak kamanutiet nebo tos mine ko ibaka.
Kongoi Kiplimo, bye missing mi Eldoret City. Kasari ngunon ko kitietai miten ngalekab Eldoret City ko kitietai ngalekab exhibition ko le kaimwa komie man ko kotab kaa ko kikiloncheni actually anan kikinome igorto en Eldoret en kenyitab 2015 si 2016 keregisteren kotab kaa Kenya ko netai nekikiyai agribusiness ko 2017 en Kericho kebe Nandi 2018 2019 ko kimiten Baringo Kabarnet ko 2020 kinyolu kebe lakini kibwa ngalekab COVID ko kimuch kiapten kot ko ngunon ko kimi kenyit konye 2023 ko kimiten county nebo Bomet ko raini kemiten county nebo Uasin Gishu county na ole kemwaite man ko kele nebo mut so kimiten the fifth city again the fifth agribusiness show agingele the president nyongo the fifth president nebo Republic of Kenya so kiboibo kemi Eldoret ako takyine nyon nebo kotab kaa Kenya kingele kitakyinige ngalekab social pillar tebenyon bitenyon kigere kele une sikebe ngalekab economic pillar ngalekab mungaret ligaitoi mungaret ole kikimitege ole kaimwaite ak nebo somok ko ngalekab somanet amun ngele ngalekab somanet komi muguleldab chi age tugul ko ngemi ngunon ko kichut ngalekab agribusiness amun ngele muguleldab chitab kolenjin komi ngalekab temisiet anan bare kabatisiet lakini kingen kele muguleldab chitab kolenjin kai komi teta so muguleldo nyon ko teta ako ko tinye teta ako kitinye ngungunyat nekiboen danyi ko ngunon kingen kele kibatisiei kitinye bandek kitinye nganok kitinye maragonik kitinye all types of things ko ngele chitab kolenjin muguleldo nyon ko agriculture kele nangebwan ngunon emoni anan city nebo Eldoret kigere kele karobon komie kabisa amun yuko ko basket nebo emetab Kenya anan gerebe nebo emetab Kenya konoton amune sikemiu kele kitakyinige wakulima ko ngunon kaiker bichu kabwa che exhibitors anan bichu nyokoborto tuguk kioldo kisome kotokobwa alake kitinye nafas nengwong en exhibitors karon ko raini ko kinome lakini mutai anan karon keyoe ngalekab official opening ne ki-expecteni His Excellency Governor nebo Uasin Gishu County Dr. Jonathan Chelilim konyo nendet konyokowatwech ngalekab agribusiness. Nibu kararan Eldoret Jumamos ketinye Families Day yomutu log konyokoker ak ichek koseita konoton nekesome nibu kiboiboi ako kiboiboenjin Kass Media Group amun kimi ak partnership ak okwek ak bichon kosech en nguni ketocho kabisa obwani kimi partnership ak Uasin Gishu County Government ak Kass Media Group nekikimi kongeten kinome kemi ak Kass mpaka sai kemi ak Kass ak kikosenage Kass en kasit nekararan noe abaibai missing ana mi Eldoret ak akere ale hali ya hewa sio mbaya ni mzuri nome ak temindet ak kita nekabatisi akere ale kararan hali ya anga en Eldoret.
Ngemwa kotinygei ako chi nebo Kalenjin kemwa ile tetutik chebo kabatisiet ko muguleldo nebo chi nebo Kalenjin ako ngiker ngaliot neo netonondochin anan ngaliot netonondochin agribusiness nebo kotab kaa en kenyini ko kamwa kole boisiet nebo musoknotet nebo kasari tos ikere kole kakoit kasarta nenyolu koboisie chito nebo Kalenjin musoknotet nebo kasari en tetutik chebo kabatisiet ripsetab kiagik ko keker kele kakikimit boisiet nebo musoknotet asikenyor kelchinoik chemite barak
kemwa komie amun ole kitokyinige ngunon keboisie musoknotet ingele kokebe ngalekab artificial intelligence en biik yon okere ole kitesetai ko ngunon ki agetugul keboisie musoknotet akot ngeng'ololi nguni ko musoknotet nekeboisie ko niton kokimwa kele empowerment through the use of innovative technology yani kimoe keboisie musoknotetab kasari keker kele kakikimitkee en tuguk chechang chekiyoe ko noton amune kelenji bikyok siku hizi kila kitu komiten iboisie simoing'ung akot ngealda chego inoe ile kakikonin kiloisiek ata nib chego inyoru statement tugul kobwone kobunu ne kobunu ngalekab simet so kakiboisie musoknotetab kasari ako noton nekakimoche kiimisan echeket missing ko neranik anan barnotik kikere kele average age nebo mkulima en Kenya ko kenyisiek 60 tamanwagik lo. Lakini kimache biik chemengech keker kele kabwa akichek kochut ng'alekab koboisien teknolojia ne kere ile biik chemengech kochome ng'alekab musongnotet. Kimache koboisien icheket musongnotoni soker kole koboisien sikokimitkei. Kitinye ng'alekab akot serikalit kimiten nebo KK administration ndochin president nenyon ko kit nemi tai ng'alekab digital economy ole kitokyinigei keker kele kakiboisien digital economy. Kotokomwa secretary nenyon Kibet Kolil kole siku hizi ngotko memi chito ng'alekab musongnotet akot iwe bank komakebendi siku hizi boibire lainit iwendi kityo ATM ong'alal ak mashining'ung ile ame chepkondok chekile. So iboisie simoing'ung ilipondoi chepkondok, iboisie simoing'ung iliponi deni anan isom chepkondok kora kou biik chon ongen ng'alekab fuliza, ongen ng'alekab financial services ko siku hizi keboisie simoit. So kanamgei ak team nenyon nebo empowerment through the use of innovative technology. Yani kaboisie musongnotetab kasari kere kakikimitkei especially borietab Kalenjin. Ana ole kimi tai. Kibwa ng'alekab musongnotet komi tai borietab Kalenjin. Cham alenen kila oboriet nekim en ng'wony komugul. Ak amwoe iman amineni ana ale oboriet nekim en ng'wony komugul ngebwa ng'alekab rwaek, ng'alekab ng'waek kemi tai. Kebwa ng'alekab agriculture kemi tai. Oni ng'alekab technology nguno ng'alekab musongnotet kemi tai. So akere ale chitab Kalenjin ko kiberur kiptayat ak ketinye emet ne kararan, emet ne akwai, emet nemie ak ketinye biik lagok che kororon, tuga che kororon, kitinye kila kitu ne kararan en bororietab Kalenjin. Ko noton aboiboenjini Kiplimo.
Nebo let kityo rubani Asiach amun kemande en soet ko kemwa ile kikitoi kotab kaa en kenyitab 2015 kotomo kesir en registration en kenyitab 2016. Kobaten nito ko kimito the 50 city ako nito ko agribusiness nebo mut en kotab kaa. Mwawech kityo kotinygei tos kelchin ne nekikonyor chito nebo Kalenjin neteleli rani chi nebo Kalenjin ako ni ko kit nekianyoru kobun kotab kaa. Kelchin ne nekikonyor bororiet.
Kongoi mising Kiplimo keteb swali ne kararan, very good question. Ikere nguno ng'alekab somanet. Kotab kaa ni ko kiibwech lagok chemi diaspora. Chekingelonjeni anan kinginome en Eldoret ko kiabwa lagok chechang chebunu diaspora koker kele kiboisioitoi ano ak lagochu chok chemi bitonin kele kinamegei eun en ng'alekab somanet ako chang biik chikoba somanet keboisien kotab kaa Kenya. Kebwa ng'alekab yongimi ng'alekab show pokiseitate kora yon tinye kotab kaa international ikere kotesetai akichek kora kokikimitkei en yoton. So akere ole mi kimnotet ketinye kora kikonu platform anan kikonu where unakuja ibarte tuguk. Kitinye Kipleting Chelule toko okere en yuno ako miten kobotechi ne inendet ko kong'eten ketuye en Kapsabet ikere ile kitestai inendet ako kwoldo mashinisiek chebo mkulima. Ki-expose biik chechang, mi tienik cheki-expose en yu, mi biik cheboik kora cheboe tuga, cheboe ngokaik, cheboe ne ko kikebochi icheket platform anan nafasi anan baraindo kobarta tuguk chechwaket. Akere ale makiyachen, akere ale kitestai kochang biik chebwone members chok. Le mwache kole chito what is the benefit of member nebo kotab kaa ko amun inyoru nafasi wachebore networking ak linkages ak wakulima wenzako anan ko biik chemi bitonin. Ko noton akere ale oloton ole mi kimnotenyon amun kitinye biik chechang lagok chok chemi bitonin cheakere ale tesetai koyoe komie ak kokenamgei eun komie. Akere ale tai kibendi ko kararan. Akwai tai. Yes.
Kongoi mising noto ko tuget nebo rubani chepkwony agenge eng tetik chebo igorta nebo kotab kaa agribusiness show ne tesetai en inguni en nganaset neo nebo Eldoret. Kobate Ben Koech asiawek soet konyo nganaset neo nebo Nairobi ibwat kole kakile muguleldo nebo chito nebo Kalenjin koteta ako en inguni amite ako agenge en exhibitors ne itorchingei chobet nebo amitwogik chebo kiagik. Amache tename kainet ak imwoe kole tos kitau ako tos kinyor tano naet nebo chobetab amitwogikab tuga keboisien mashinisiek.
So ngainaik kyuk kekurena Kipleting Charles Chelule, kainet nebo mung'aret ko made in Kapng'eria. Ale netai amwachini kongoi kotab kaa amu icheket chikikona kaina. Kikonamdagei bichu kong'ete amu kikoro kole chito ne nyolu ke-expose kosubkei ak boisionikab eunek. Kichobe mashinisiek chebo suswekab tuga ak kichobe mashinisiek cheng'oe kawek. ne nguno alechini kelchin akot eng biikab Uasin Gishu amu kokotoi kokol kawek ngobwa mutai nyokoro mashinishek kong'oe kawek cheyoe biikab gaa biik kinyor kelchin amu kikikochi exposure through kotab Kass FM.
Kinome awo ko tos kelchinet nekinyor ako en inguni?
Kianam nekit atinye kenyisiek 7 nguno ak alechini kikoek kasi ni kosira, kikoek kasi ni kopromoten vijana chemi korenyo amu kere kinoe kere ako sai kokere kole ngikonakta chichi ngikonyor kelchin chichi. So alechini nguno chuto chesomane lagok chuto chekwerie maisha o chuto kikokona kabisa konapta kabisa kochait nguno.
Nebo let kemale tos kisir neranik boisiet ako tos kelchinet nekikonyor neranik kobun boisioni?
Kiasir neranik boisiet nekit biik chotiege nguno ko nekit biik 4 keteshi kora neibe mashinishek neloe amu asaplani mashinit kwa asaplani mkulima ipkeachi orientation amu nguno kelchin korong netinye mkulima anan ko customer nenyonet amu kibendi akoi ground kere kabisa koboisie mashinit kosir nap kole eng duket. Nebo aeng ketikani offer services chebo mashinit amu achek chekingen muno amengoyai mashinit ibirwe simet kebwa nyekeyaun ako kakenetin kora ole kiriptogei ng'alekab safety, ng'alekab maintenance chebo mashinit ak ole chekile feeding rate ole boisioitoi mashinit.
Kongoi mising. Ben Koech ko noto ko tuget nebo Chelule agenge en exhibitor nemiten yu en betutab rani ko ye imuchi ger ko choto che igeren inguni en screen nengung ko mashinishek che kisulda inendet chobet nekamwa kole tinye naet nebo kenyisiek 7 ngap kotoi chobetab mashinishek choto. Tent nerube ko nebo Moiben Connections icheket kotinyegei ak aldaet nebo ko choto ko alak en exhibitors chemite en kotab ka agri business en inguni en kanaset neo nebo Eldoret kobate Ben Koech ko kakimwa kole tetutik chebo kabotisiet ak chebo temisiet ko muguleldo nebo chi nebo kalenjin ko ngiger en emet nebo Kenya ko kakimwa kele tetutik chebo kabotisiet ak temisiet ko oret nebo batet nebo emoni bo Kenya ko nito ko amune asikemi yu asikeker kele kaker chitab kalenjin kanyor naet amu kimnatet naet kobate Ben Koech asitestai ak logoiwekab emet kobun kebeberwek alak kobun counties alak amache awekun soet konyo nganaset neo nebo Nairobi. Negata pirindetab pichait nebo betutab rani noto ko Isaac Kogei, katindetab karit noto ko Bernard Kemei, ko ane ko Timothy Kiblimo ngawekun soet konyo Nairobi. Ben Koech.
Kongoi mising Timothy Kiplimo ak timit tugul nebo Kass TV eng taonitab Eldoret ole mitei icheket kosubi kotinygei ak tuyet nebo kotab ka agribusiness trade fair noto netesetai agoi betutab Jumamos eng weekend ni ko ibwech eng logoiwekab emet chemitei tai kotinygei ak kit netesetai eng betutab rani komugul kong'ete City of Champions eng county noto bo Uasin Gishu ko tesetai koitun tetutieng'ung nebo Kass Mashinani kimache kenyoru kamung'et yekiwege tesetai ak logoiwekab emet arametwagei.